Hi guys, this is Maker of Beauty, and I'm here putting together Cricut class petal number 1. And this was the very first petal that I had designed in Design Space by itself. Never mind, that I'm not so sure what I just said was grammatically correct. Any case, this petal was designed in Design Space. It was the very first petal that I finally got it, and it was like an aha moment. You know, the proportions is there, it's all smooth, and it's a good size. And let's see. So today I'm gonna be showing you how I'm putting this one together. I cut it in 2 different colors because we're just going to make it like a rainbow. So with this petal, I'm still treating my large petal as my medium. I did not reduce it by 0.5 inches. I just cut it out 1 extra set of a large, which and then I reduced my small one exactly by 1 inch. And you know, if you're looking at it, like, you can see that it is definitely, you know, the height wise, right, it's about 1 inch that it's smaller too. So without any further ado, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it. So this petal, right, like, you can do several different things. Is you could leave it by itself just like this. You would glue it, and I think you know, that would be pretty sufficient. You could for example, you know, bend this in the middle and give it like a line like this, which is, think, like, you know, it makes it very nice. And you can for sure curl it a little bit more. Actually, let me take this curler. Or, you know, if you want it, like, I think that looks pretty nice. That opens it up. It has like a little bit of a depth, you know, so it's got something to it. Or if you had wanted, right, you, instead of curling it on the sides, both ways, the way I've done it, you could have just curled it like more as a one on the top. So this is just to show you guys that how you curl does have a huge effect on how your flower is going to look at the end. And you can do so many different things with the same petal, just that if you were to layer it differently. So with this one, I'm still going to be sticking to showing you the basic one. And by basic, I mean it's going to be your base, which is what I have here, like one of them, right? And then it's going to be your 3 layers, the by 6 petals. So to me, that's a pretty basic one. But like, say for example, even with this petal, right, you curl it, you glue all of it, and then instead of putting it on a base, you overlap it this way. That would give it a completely different look, and you could start, you know, going off that. Where I'm going with this is that you know, if you buy a petal and you watch the video, don't feel that you are limited to doing only what you saw in that video. The sky is a limit, you know. If you're imaginative, you're not afraid to try, didn't work, let me try again, you know. Definitely don't stick with just with one way of doing things. When I first started out making flowers, my first flower was pretty hideous. I mean, it was super clunky. My real estate spacing was completely off. It was just not very good. And now, you know, I mean, it's like a pretty much, I'd have to on purpose try to sabotage my flowers in order to make it look funky. Because even if, like, I'm off one petal sometimes, you know, it's like I'll be missing one, or I miscalculated something. Like, I know how to fix all those mistakes. All right, so to speed things up, I'm gonna be grabbing 2 of them at a time and just using my stick to curl it up. I'm not using my knife because it's just going to take me so much longer, and because I'm grabbing several of them at the same time, it will leave lines on it, which I don't like. Sometimes it just ends up applying a little bit more pressure. Right, I'm gonna pause the video for now, just so that I can quickly finish up curling the petals and gluing them. And this is not, and so when you guys come back, right, or in I guess in about a second, right, when I come back, you'll see that everything is done. Don't think there was any magic involved. There is no magic. It was just simply pausing the video, doing it, and coming back. It would be lovely if I could only spend, like 10 minutes on the prep, but truth of the matter is that it's not 10 minutes. When I first got into this, my flowers used to take me such a long time. I overanalyzed everything, overthought it, and I would just drag it on. Now, much more efficient. You still, need the time to cut it. Okay, so just remind you, when you glue your petals, make sure you press as hard as you can and hold it there at least for a little bit. This is to make sure, and try to not to put your glue too close to the edge, which is what I just did, because then the glue will, I'm trying to think of a good way to explain it. The glue will just come out from the edge and it will burn your finger, whereas you put it, like a little further away from the edge. When you press it down and it spreads everywhere, it's not gonna get out of the paper and burn you. So, but okay, guys, I'm back. This was not magic. This was me. It took me about almost 9 minutes. Any case, so I have my petals, and typically for the bases, right, what I'll end up doing is, like, I have a whole bunch of them at a different size, but typically I want my base to be at least the same height as my largest petal. And my advice is that if you're just starting out, make it maybe even bigger, just so that you have a little bit more of a real estate space to work with. But I think this is a pretty good base for this size. And just for fun, let me actually measure it. I want to see. Okay, so this one is 5.5 inches. Okay, and this one is 5.5. All right, it was spot on. Okay, so with this one, I have to, because I want to interchange them, right? I want to do yellow, red, yellow, pink, yellow, pink. I'm actually going to assemble it first to see how it's going to look, and I'm going to glue second to make sure that it all makes sense. And I'm also tend to be a very visual person, so that just helps me to stay focused and see where I need to go next. Okay, so I got my visual that I needed, and this is how I approach layering my petals. I like circles for my base. Everybody's different. You don't have to do circle. You can do, I think it's called, not the hexagon, right? Because the hexagon is the 5 edges, but the one that has like the 6, right? And you can basically, like, put your flower on the edge, and that will help you to stay in the sync. But I think my method for the sizes of the petals that I tend to go, and when I talk about the size of the petals, guys, I don't really necessarily mean like so much like the width and the height alone. I'm also talking about like the distance from a point A to point B, like the relationship between, like, the top of the petal to the bottom, because like the shape is pretty much like more or less the same, but then where the variations come in between the people is how much of a reduction is your top relative to your bottom, and because like that will have an effect on how you end up building your flower at the end and what the final look is going to be. And I do think that some petals are better than others. There is no question about it. I mean, sometimes I see stuff that people buy on it and I'm like, oh my God, why? You could have done so much better for yourself. I mean, not that I'm dogging anybody's business, but you know, like not everybody's equal, if we're being honest about it. So let's see. This yellow is gonna go right in here. I always say that, you know, like our potential might be equal, but people certainly don't actualize themselves equally. Okay, so this one is gonna go in here, and then, you know, the opposite ones are approximate, you know, to the petals on the opposite end. And make sure that when you're putting in the next layers, you know, don't start all of a sudden bringing in this all the way in. You know, you need to respect to where you put in your first petal and stick to that. So orient not only, you know, like when you position your subsequent petals, orient not only to the space in here, but also to where you have your first petal as well, right? So essentially when you have everything together like that, there should be still a pretty even circle around it. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I've grabbed the right one, and I did, and it's pretty across my yellow petal. Press and hold it. And there's my yellow one. And like I said, with this petal, right, even if I just left it like without curling it and doing anything else to it, it would still look just fine, especially if you have fun paper to work with. Now, just to show you, right, this is still the large size petal, but with many of my petals, you know, you don't really need to have a medium. You can keep large and treat it as a medium, and that's gonna come somewhere in between. So I'm trying to think if there is a difference if I do yellow. Doesn't matter. And I think I actually want to start with the pink. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue only the edge of it, right? And just remember, I'm going this way, right? If you're gonna go the opposite, then you need to put the glue on this side and keep this one open. You know, you put in a glue on the side that you're gonna continue on, and you leave the side that you're going to be tucking under alone. So if you happen to go this direction, just remember to reverse it. Okay, I need a glue stick, so I'm just gonna pop that in. And you guys, you know, see that I'm pretty generous with the glue, and I do 2 layers. Okay, you put it right between the layers. I'm sorry, you put it in right between the petals. The reason I don't do just like a little bit of a dab, 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 because if you put from one side to another, it just gives you so much more durability. It's going to hold a little bit better. It's not going to be floppy, you know, like if I just had like a dab dab, that would be pretty floppy, but you can see it's already pretty sturdy. Okay, my next one is going to be yellow, and I'll just continue to go across it. There is an artist all the way from Sydney, and she is from former Soviet Union, I believe. I think she goes now by the paper flower tutorials, and she knows a trick of where she can like hold several of petals together and glue them 3 at a time. I've tried to hack it, and I just didn't get it. I ended up burning myself, and I said nope. Oh, and by the way, you know, I'm making it pretty high because I think, like, you know, having like a pretty high flower is very nice with this petal. But you know, if you wanted to make it more open, all you would have to do is just make a slit a little bit higher, and that would fall flatter. With this one, the slit is about 2 inches, and if you wanted to have it even more, right, then you would just make it, let's see, you would make it 2.5 maybe. I don't know if I'd go for 3, but you could if you really wanted to. So do I need to, it doesn't actually even look like that I need to, nope, I don't. Okay. All right, this is gonna go right in here. Let me just count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, perfect. I don't quite need to tuck in. Maybe, maybe not. Nope, I don't. Okay, great. It's fine if you don't need to tuck it in. It's also fine if you do, as long as you tuck it under, so it has that very nice finished look to it. You are in a good shape. Okay, so let's now look at my small petal, right? I was thinking maybe make it a little bit flatter and actually not curl it. And you know what? I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I will keep it higher and I will curl it. I think not curling it is just not gonna, I just don't like it. I think it will look much better if, in this case, all of it is one unified look across all of the layers. So I'm going to take my glue stick, because this is a little bit too thick and the other one is not round enough. Oh, didn't realize that you guys don't see me. Okay, I curled a little bit more, so I'm actually gonna try to straighten it out with a knife. Okay, I think I will use a knife in this case. So I was saying in one of my videos that I have two. Okay guys, so I have my small petals ready, right? And it's going to be back to just having them positioned between the previous 2 petals. So I'm just gonna put a dab on one side. Oh, it is hot. So I'm just gonna take my trusted stick and use that to press it down and take a pity on my hands. This comes so handy when I do roses, because my legs tend to be pretty long, like and they covered the bag of flour, and it can just be so easy to burn myself. Did I start the right one? I think I wanted to start yellow, didn't I? Let me see if the yellow would make a little bit more sense. I'm kind of lost right now, a little bit. I guess it doesn't really matter. Does it? No. Nope. I'm just gonna say that's fine. I think it'd be fine irregardless whether it's if I started out with because the overlap would be right. It would just be the same thing, but on the other side. So it doesn't matter. All right, so let me try to hurry up and move along here so we can finish the petal sometime soon. And I actually don't think that I have a centerpiece for this one, so I might have to make one. Ooh, okay, that would not be good because I almost put yellow after yellow, but thankfully I caught myself right on time. Okay, I'm just gonna put a little bit more of a new glue so it sticks, and I'm just gonna gently slide it under. Position it a little bit more this way. Okay. Let's press everything down to make sure that it is sticking and holding out very nicely. Okay, there's our flower, but we're not yet done. We still need to do the center, and so I'm going to see what I have available for my centers. Okay, looks like it's all the same petal. All right, guys. Well, you get the benefit of watching me how I work my layered flowers, and I need a couple different tools for that. So let me quickly grab them. Okay. I forget the name of this mat, but I will definitely make sure to provide a link for it, because it is absolutely wonderful thing to have when you work with layered flowers. And let me see which one I want to start with. I want to actually do mostly pink, and then I'm going to throw in a couple of the yellows. So let me find a couple of them that are same size. Okay, so the way I'm going to start is actually, let's see, yes, right off the bat, I'm just basically going to alternate the curling, right? So every other is going to be up. See? And I find that the chopsticks are absolutely wonderful for this, because what I do is, I started off with the thick one, and then I slide it down to give it a little bit more of a curl, and you can see just like curls it up so beautifully. Okay, and this ones are gonna be going upwards. If you wanted to save time, right, like you could try to do this on both ends, but I sometimes end up tearing the paper, and I like that I can stick my finger underneath of it for support. So I just do it one side at a time. But as you saw it, as you see it, I do stack it up more than one or two at once. Okay, now I'm gonna take a little bit bigger one, and for this one I do need to have thicker end. This one will get curled up all in one direction. Okay. Don't be afraid to give it a good curl. That would only be to the benefit of it. Now, I do have rhyme and reason behind my sizes, but since I'm winging it, right, my sizes are not exactly like exact match, so I'm not gonna go into the sizes as much, as more of concentrating on how I curl them right now. So and just to let you know, you don't have to have this tool. Like, you could take a pearl. I don't know if I actually have it. I don't have it there, but like you could take a pearl, right, and use that pearl to give you the ball, and use that to basically like press it down and work it around it. And what that ends up doing it, right, it will raise the flower for you. You could also do just, put this into your palm and press it this way, and that will do the same thing. I find that this tool does much better job, because it just doesn't leave, like such terrible creases in the paper. I mean, not that you would see the creases, because as you layer it, it all gets hidden, but I just don't like it, because what ends up happening is that you can accidentally tear the paper apart. I'm gonna do one more in the same direction. In retrospect, I should have put two of them together as I was curling it to save on time. But it is what it is at this point. And I'm gonna guess that this is probably 4 inches. Let me measure it just to see if my assessment is correct. And yep, it is 4 inches. Guys, I used to not be able to understand the sizes at all. Like, I literally had to measure everything. But after a while, since I got into the working with flowers, it just all started to make sense. And the eyes get trained. So experience, experience, experience. Nothing can beat the doing. So I'm gonna layer the first one, or one over the other. And what you want to do is you want to try to make it, to be as much as between the petals as possible. So what I do is this: I put a dab of glue. Put a little bit too much, but whatever. I position it right, but to keep it all straight and whatnot, what I'll do is I'll use my chopstick to put it in first, and then while the glue is hot, I will slide it over if needed, and then I'll just press it down and hold it to make sure that it has a time to set in, just for a little bit first. Then I bring it back in here. Make this one a little bit more of a curl, and then I take my tool and press it down to give me a bit more of a center. Sometimes I even go over it this way, but don't do this right away, right? Because you really want to make sure that your glue had a chance to set in. Any case, these two were exactly the same size. You could still take one more of this, right? Just make sure that you get it raised up as high as possible to make it appear smaller relative to this, and put it one more in here. But I'm not going to make it this fluffy. I don't want it to be that fluffy for my center. So I'm going to move on to the next one. For this one, it doesn't matter whether you flip it, whichever way you flip it, right? It's going to look the same no matter what. So again, I want this to be as much as in the middle as possible. So I'm gonna dab my glue in the middle. I'm gonna get ready with my chopstick. Position this. This gets to be a little bit tricky, right? Because like you're trying to do two things. You're trying to make sure that it's in center, not too much off to any of the side, and also positioning it between the petals. Okay, so this one looks pretty good. I'm gonna move on to the next one. Okay, where's my tool? I think it just went right over under. Okay, so this one I'm gonna try to raise up a little bit more. Have to be a bit careful because I went a little bit too roughly. And this time I'm actually gonna squash it just a tad, not too much, but enough. Now I'm going to be putting the glue on the bottom of my petal that I'm holding in my hand. Okay. I'm still gonna try to get it as much between as possible I can. Definitely, center it out. Okay. And I think I'm actually not going to be using this one, because if I do, then I'm not going to have any space left for the yellow. And I still want to be able to put my yellow in, right? So I'm just going to take this. Okay, so just remember, because we're working now with the top layer, you are skipping the roll every other one. And then you're gonna flip it and you roll it this way. And this petal is pretty good. You could actually end up curling it in many different directions and have a layered flower that looks in many different ways too. Okay. Now for this one, I'm gonna hold this, pretty tightly, and I'm gonna smoosh the bottom a little bit. Like you can see that I'm actually pressing down and breaking the paper quite a bit. So I'm gonna put the glue and get that in the middle. Try not to touch the walls. Okay, so I pressed it all the way down, and here's my center. I'm gonna bring my flower. Let me just get rid of all of this extra stuff that I have in here. Okay, so here's my center. And I'm just going to give it a generous amount of a glue. Just gonna put a circle. Okay. So just right in the middle, I'll take my chopstick and I'm gonna press it all the way down, 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 down. And you guys see it, I'm pressing it from all sides. This is just to make sure that the glue is not just hardening as a glob in one spot, but really, you know, trying to position it all around in a circle as much as possible so that it's adhering it everywhere. Okay, and there you have it, our beautiful flower. Isn't it gorgeous? I love this colors too. It was for my kid's birthday party. Any case, here's the petal number 1. But it's actually my third video of putting together to show you how to put a paper flower. I hope you enjoyed it and it was very educational. Until next time.